Hi, I'm Wesley, and a fun fact about my race is that I'm 1/8 Aleut, and I get scholarships and free medical care.
Hello, I'm Josh Beveridge, and contrary to popular belief, I am 100% African American.
Hi, I'm Klaus Hanley, and contrary to popular belief, I'm 100% Caucasian.
And we're presenting Racism in Ivanhoe. Well, the English and the French have always hated each other, and in around 1066, the Battle of Hastings occurred, and the Normans of France came and invaded England, and they ruled there, and the Saxons, which were originally from England, hated the Normans, and the Normans hated the Saxons, and this created very much racism for this setting. I don't even know.
So, because the Normans came out on top, they kind of had the say in what happened, and they hated the Saxons, so obviously the Saxons were going to be the oppressed people. And so, because of this, the Normans imposed their own language and also their own law, the Code of Chivalry. And an example of the language is the Normans, the word for swine was the Saxon word, but once it was put on the table and the feast and food, it was pork, which is the Norman word. So basically, negative words would be the Saxons, and the positive and the good things would be the Normans.
Back in these times, people were really judged by their race. And if you think that you judge me by the color of my skin, you'd probably think, hey, Klaus probably can relate to these people. Because back in these times, when you met up with someone, you talked about, hey, I'm a Norman. Hey, I'm a Saxon. Hey, we don't like each other. And, there's the Normans and the Saxons, but, whether Jew believe me or not, below them was the Jews. And it was just not really cool to be a Jew, and it would just kind of be the worst. But I'm not saying that's true, but that's just how it was. And when you introduced yourself to everyone else, you talked about how Christian you were. And if you weren't a Christian, you were pretty much Muslim. But there wasn't a lot of Muslims back in this time, so you don't have to really worry about it.
So there was William of Ivanhoe, the main character, and before our story begins, he went on a crusade with King Richard, who is a Norman, and his father disowns him for this because he hated the Normans, all Normans, and Cedric then he picks Athelstane to be like the next in line to try to get him to be king, and Ivanhoe eventually comes back, but his father still does not recognize that he's his son.
So Wesley had just mentioned Cedric and the fact that he was a very racist Saxon, and I just wanted to emphasize that. And so in this book, Cedric probably emphasizes and portrays racism the most out of anyone. He just speaks up against the Normans all the time and hates them. And one time, even if he's with Norman nobles and Prince John, he'll even just say mean things to them, just really mean things, and just that he hates them and that Saxons are the best. And so basically, because Ivanhoe goes on this crusade and kind of abandons the Saxon, he kind of disowns him and refuses to forgive him because of just what he did.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Jews a little bit more. And basically, what happened is the Jews got their land taken away from them, and they did not see that one coming. And this, the people just did not like the Jews because they were just not very likable people. And so pretty much they became users and borrowers, and this made everyone else hate them so much more because hey, can I borrow this? And then they borrow it and then they never give it back. So this made it hate the Jews so much more.
So we've told you some pretty broad stuff about the racism going on, but now we're going to tell you 2 specific examples from the book about the racism. And then we're going to act it out. Yeah.
We've been telling you about how racist the Saxons are. Well, turns out that the Normans were just as racist. There was 2 landlords that got in a fight at Front-de-Bœuf's castle that we're going to act out for you right here.
Hey, you the landlord here?
Who goes there?
Oh, I'm just the landlord right down the road.
What you want about these parts? What heritage are you?
Oh, Saxon, of course.
You're Saxon. I'm Wilhelm II of Norman descent. What do you think you're doing up in here?
You're Norman?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
Hey,
good.
you got none on
That's
my
not
people,
good.
boy. Oh.
Oh, you best not try me with that Norman stuff.
Hey,
Oh, you best not try me.
Hey, you baby. I'll take you. I got shoes all day.
Huh?
Oh,
I'll
get
get
tired of you.
Oh. So, after the turn of Ashby, they're having a feast, which the Jews were not a part of. But the Saxons were there and the Normans were there. And they made Cedric make a toast to one of the Normans, but he didn't want to because he hated all the Normans. And he was saying how the only Norman that he would ever toast to is King Richard, because Prince John was on the throne, and Prince John hated King Richard.
That was a great. That was a great tournament.
Yeah,
That was great. Great tournament of Ashby.
Ivanhoe really kicked butt.
I love the way that just impale each other.
Ivanhoe did great.
Yeah. So I think we should have a toast
All right.
to this great Norman guy I know.
I
Just a wonderful person.
I would
just a great
never-
Norman.
Never toast to a Norman.
Why not? We're great
You know,
people.
Prince John, there is one Norman I would toast to.
And who is that?
Here's to King Richard, the Lion-Hearted.
And at the end of our story, we have Brian Dubois, who falls in love with Rebecca. And because of this, Rebecca is put on trial for being accused as a witch. And they think that she has casted a spell on Brian because no Norman would ever fall in love with a Jewess.
Hey, you cast a spell on Brian because obviously no Norman is ever gonna fall in love with you, you witch.
What did you just call me?
I said you're a witch, of course.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's not much better, but okay.
Is it gone? I don't think. Thanks for watching.